Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Get Book Solid. Shank Dilly and David Meltzer in the house. Every week, Dave, your studio just like gets a little bit different. What's going on? You got a cool screen behind you now.
I think I just keep adding shit as it comes to me and trying to see. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm on the other side of the fence here. So it's working for me. The microphone works, the internet works. We're making progress, which is great. And I see the only change for you is you took your glasses off. What happened to the white glasses?
All right, I'm wearing contacts today.
Oh, you looks good.
You know what happens is you get this little line here from the sun.
Especially if you play golf
To
or
play
live in
golf.
Florida.
Yeah.
That's
So what's
awesome.
going on? Hey, we just are coming off of a huge weekend for you. I missed the little recap, so let's update everybody. How was the collab at YouTube Theater? Everybody's talking about it. I'm seeing it all over social media. Big event for you, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us how it went.
Well, it was probably one of the best learning experiences I've had in a few years about business because I was very clear on my objective, which was over the top experience, business development, and of course, post production content. As far as ticket sales went, we were down. It was supposed to have 3,200 people. We sold about 1,000 tickets. And that, was not what Dane Cook, especially, had anticipated, because I'm not someone that sells tickets. I have impact and usually step on other people's stages, like I did the next day, which is at Madison Square Garden, which was a reminder of that business model that I have, where I can easily sell out, VIP dinners and TV shows and other things. Um, but the content was exceptional. So the post production end, the experience was like none other that I've had, and the feedback from, everybody showed up to be part of it, as far as the content side went. And so the feedback from Rob Riggle and Dane Cook, even Netflix, who wanted to see what we were doing to develop a show called The Collab. So I was extremely excited. But the interesting lesson that I learned is, the humility that it takes, again, to stand in front of an empty theater, basically, because of the planes and because Ticketmaster also got impacted by the Microsoft bug or whatever they said that was. Everybody lost their seat, and it created, less people than even bought tickets. Not that it would have been a full house, and I want to be completely humble about that, because people's expectations when you're in a big venue is, oh, how did it do? Meaning, how many tickets did you sell? And that's, for me, one of the things that I coach people is, don't lose sight of your objectives and the value that the stage theory provides for people. I will tell you this about big stages and big people and big communities, is it gives you more access to the total addressable market. You see, if you're standing on, the Chamber of Commerce stages, which I did years ago to build my speaking brand, that content's great. It is. I have really great content, but it's very lucky to get to have a lot of people see it. When you have, 60 people showing up to a Chamber of Commerce speech, it's difficult to have this big explosion with the post-production content. You need to do it to get to where you're standing on big stages with big people and big communities and having access, because the streaming side killed it. Like I was amazed with the millions of people and the numbers on the streaming side, which helped with the Netflix and the YouTube Live and all the things that are going to happen from this. But you got to be able to withstand, standing on big stages and taking the chance that it's not going to be a packed house. And that's hard enough. The harder part is admitting it to people that shit, man, it was a fucking empty theater and it felt like shit when you stepped out on stage. And every time Rob Riggle stepped out on stage, all I could think of is, man, this poor guy, he volunteered to come out for us, and here he is standing in front of a couple hundred people in a huge theater.
But everything is perspective, right? I mean, so the key here is the container. Huge theater. What if we'd have put 1,000 people in a room, a ballroom, over at one of those hotels there by SoFi or LAX? Put a ballroom that seats 800, and we put 1,000 people in it. The perspective is, holy smokes, it was standing room only. And then the perspective creates our expectation, right? It's our worldview. And I think that speaks an awful lot to where you are in your entrepreneurial journey, that you even can create an expectation of, even from the onset, look, it could fit ultimately 3,000 people. Most people wouldn't even try that. And so then the bar got set in your mind, and then anything less than that can sometimes feel like a letdown. And so I think it's all perspective. If you would have been in an 800 seat room, it would have been oversold.
Yeah. And that happened the next night, right? Like, we had our VIP dinner for Aspire and we were oversold. Tim Story and I did the VIP lunch in our keynote. And then the VIP dinner, it was way oversold. And that room had so much energy, and it was 1/10 amount of people that bought tickets to the other thing. And so yes, that's really interesting. And I think, though, no matter what, it's interesting. And I'm not sure if you're the one that taught me this or not. I think you were. You have to earn the attempt, and you have to earn the achievement. And I earned the attempt at that, meaning the big YouTube theater, but I didn't earn the achievement, and I relied on others for the achievement of selling out YouTube theater, because Dane Cook, who's amazing, has sold out Madison Square Garden, and it's July 19th is a difficult date. I saw it with other events that were going on in July. It was just a difficult date to do something like that. People are traveling, and then the travel got screwed up. And but it's really interesting because I want to make sure I at least earn the attempt at it, and just to be able to say that I earned that attempt, and it was in a position to. Obviously, it wasn't just me, but Marshall Falk and Nick Lowry and Rob Riggle and Dane Cook and Maria Diamond and Greg Luxa, and I mean the list went on and on of the people that participated in it. Besides huge speakers, and Chris Janikowski came from Australia to be into it, and it just went on and on. Of I earned the attempt, but I haven't earned the achievement yet. So I'm kind of in the G League of filling up stadiums and arenas. I've earned an attempt to make the NBA, but I'm not quite there yet.
That's why they call you the Bronny James
Exactly. I
of
hope I'm better than
entrepreneurship.
that. I
At
hope
least
I'm
it
better
wasn't.
than that.
Yeah, it wasn't your dad that got you on the stage. So
Yeah, trust me, my dad did not get me there.
so on my side, I did get to catch the pieces of the live. I was in Nashville, Tennessee. Had a great opportunity to spend some time with Michael Chandler on Wednesday, and with your friend and collaborative partner, Virgil Herring. Thank you for the introduction. He was absolutely phenomenal. He dropped by and shared some of his wisdom with us and in our group. And one of the things, though, is interesting. I was riding along in the golf cart there with Michael, and we were just, talking about the state of things. And, it's interesting because listening to you with your share, it sounds a lot, although you're not using necessarily the same perspective, but it's an awful lot like a situation that Michael is going through with, waiting on a fight, the fight gets canceled, now what do I do? I have options, but if I take this option, people might think that, hey, ha ha ha. I mean, and literally to think of the thought of a world. And it was interesting to me because Michael said, and I hope that you would think the same way. Michael said, I know that you, Sean, you don't care. I know that my friends and family, they don't care. Ultimately, if I do this or I do that, that you guys will see me as me no matter what. But talk to us about that because I think that's something that we can all relate to. Because I feel like probably listening to you, there is an element because you said like, well, I need to be humble or it, but I mean, you had 1,000 people come to an event. Like, I don't know, maybe I think you should be prideful. I think again, it's speaking to humble against either one, your expectation, or two, what you feel like someone else's expectation would be. But it most certainly is not my expectation. As a friend of yours, I'm not like, wow, ha, ha, ha. I'm like, wow, that's so cool, Dave. That's so awesome. But talk to us, how do we filter that out? Because there has to be a degree of what is everybody else thinking? Because I just detect that. And I'll just tell you for me, I'm thinking, dude, high five, amazing. You've done what so many other people that I know could not do. But I also hear a sense of disappointment. And I'd say the same thing for Michael. Like,
Yeah.
dude, you go in there and fight these people. I wouldn't do that. But there's still a sense of disappointment. How do we reconcile that whole account?
I want to clarify that we sold close to 1,000 tickets, but only a few hundred showed up, so it was empty, and that's because of the issues. But
Travel.
very disappointed. It's not even. I don't want to hide the fact that I was very disappointed, even though that wasn't my objective. Right? You noticed I said experiential business development and post production content, and I never
Check,
said
check,
sell
check.
out. I've never
Yeah.
said sell out, but it was very disappointing. And the irony is, I might think differently than Michael because I have such a firm grasp on the stage theory. And we're here at Book Yourself Solid, and I want people to hear this: that the whole world is your stage. The size of the stage and the people involved, and the size of the communities of the people involved, will determine the statistical access that you have to this total addressable community. And so the business side of it, I super excited about. But for me, it's not that, because I think those people are going to love it, right? The millions of people that are seeing the content, and it is millions, right? Not 200. So like, what are you so bummed about, Dave? Here's what it is. It's what I'm looking for, the epiphany, and this is really helping my marriage. It's that we start looking for what we're most insecure about in the other people. So I had a conversation with Lori Livicich that does my Ferocious Buddha brand, right? She runs an entire company about building this brand. And this brand's taking off, which is wonderful. I know 20 years from now how big it's going to be, because I already have at least 2 ambassadors that are going to get me 2 ambassadors a year, which is my Noah's Ark model. But when I talked to Lori, I could I thought I could hear in her voice my greatest fear, right? Well, so how do you think it went, Dave? Like, almost scared, because she was there and she saw the few hundred people in the empty theater. And in my mind, I had this insecurity that she thought less of me because of that. And that's absolutely asinine. Right? This is a person who's running that. She has invested so much in David Meltzer and Ferocious Buddha. And I have found that for me, I know the millions of people are loving it. And they don't really give a shit whether that occurred in front of one person in a studio or a million people in a lawn, like Lollapalooza or something. Nobody gives a shit. The one that is what I see about myself, and the epiphany to learn that, look, no matter where you are on your own self development, it is your meaning that you're giving the conversations, and the meaning that you give to the relationship, even to the respect that I wanted to illuminate this with you, because I want you to think highly of me. I partner with you in all these things. We are, opening a beautiful theater and event thing at the Palazzo together. We've done so many business ventures. Some have been successful, some haven't. And, you know, every single time I'm like, I want Sean to trust the fact that, I'm a winner and I'm going to help get us to where we want to be as a brand and to show up and all that. And it's what I see inside that I'm projecting into a conversation. And if I said to you, hey, I'm to Lori, for example, hey, I'm sorry, a lot of people didn't show up to buy merchandise. They bought it online, but I'm sorry or whatever. I'm sure she would say, no, I was worried about you, that you wouldn't feel good about yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, and the mere fact we're this is our first conversation since the event. I did tune in live. The stage was dark, so you couldn't tell how many people were there. So I didn't know. And super important, nobody said anything to me. And super important, I've not seen any chatter out there. Literally to your point, it's just it came. People were like, "Oh, cool. We saw the YouTube theater. You made the impact, and it moved out." I think too, we can get focused on an element. Like you said, you checked all the boxes, right? Check, check, check. Everything got done that you were attempting to do, and then we can focus on a part like, oh, but the sound wasn't right, or we can
Yeah,
find something
my
that
fly
this
was
is
undone. That was my
well,
biggest fear.
that would have been a big.
I swear to God, I
Then you
walked
could
out.
be embarrassed.
I walked out and I don't know what went through my head, but I'm literally had this fear that my fly was undone. So when I sat down, I looked down to make sure it wasn't. I don't know where that came from, but I'm like, shit, I didn't. So I had gone to the bath. I went to the bathroom right before I went on stage with my mic on, by the way, like
Of
Naked
course.
Gun, and and I remember it almost relaxed me that I was like, at least like, holy shit, my fly's undone. And here I am on this big stage. It was like the nightmare that you wake up in the middle of the night. That's the way I felt, but it was live.
I think the next biggest thing that we do, right? So look, like you said, we've done some things and they haven't turned out how we wanted to, the two of us in partnership. We've done things individually, of course, that haven't turned out how we wanted them to. I think the next most important thing is we did the thing, and I agree, like you earn the right to attempt. And also, I think very important, the way that you earn the right to attempt is by failing, right? And so I think that that's super important, and by no means super clear. I'm not saying this was a failure, but I am also going to say that I don't know anybody who has done anything without failing, right? Like, hey, how did you do that? Well, I just started out and I just did it perfectly, and then I'm done. So actually, I always tell people, interestingly, if you truly understand the way that success works and the necessity or need for failure to learn lessons, because it's not just failure, it's lessons, you actually want to attempt to fail as fast as possible to learn the lessons as fast as possible so that you do earn the right to attempt. And that then earns you the right to succeed, because that is just the stacking of the lessons. And as you teach, the lessons repeat until you learn them. So it's not just stacking lessons, it's also stacking learning in order to stack them up to create the success. And then everybody's like, wow, overnight. Um, so the most important thing is not, hey, did I learn the lesson? Because if I learn the lesson and then I go sit on the couch, I have a lesson in my mind. It's what am I going to do next to apply my learning? So I'm wondering, as you reflect back, how are you going to apply the lessons that you learned going forward? What are you going to try next?
Yeah. So, obviously the content is really good. And I learned that the whole world is your stage, and that the bigger the stage, the bigger the people, the bigger the community, the more access you have to the whole world. And so I want to take advantage of the access that attempt gave me to the whole world. And so talking to Netflix and other people about making this into a series, because people really enjoyed the content. It was very unique. It was something that other people didn't do. Two, I learned once again that I'm looking for justification of my own insecurity. And so a lot of times, even in my marriage, I'm looking to my wife to justify my own insecurity. I'm looking for her to do something wrong that I've done wrong in order to justify my wrong. And so looking to others to justify that. And for me, the other lesson is just always in the fact that know the difference between selling tickets and impact. And through that, don't trust other people to sell tickets. Don't get into something that you personally can't sell those tickets, because then I become a promoter. And I became a promoter for Rob Riggle, Dane Cook, Marshall Falk, Maria Diamond, Nick. I became a promoter to sell tickets. And since the Lee Steinberg Super Bowl party, I don't want to be a promoter. It takes more work. I mean, exponentially more work than it does to go to a Black Diamond Club event and step on stage right off the plane from Portugal without ever thinking. And I come in and your 30 people have spent weeks to develop and promote. And then I almost feel guilty with no risk. I get to step on that stage, and I don't want to be the promoter. I want to be able to know my place in ticket sales, but also in impact. And I know the stage theory very well. I learned a lesson about that. I will tell you what I learned in sales, though, because I want to bring it home to Book Yourself Solid. The idea, like you said, of these at bats is something I teach to get people to call you back. Get people to call you back, and you'll get the reps that you need. And in this respect, you got to be able to get these people. The more you're out there, the more people will get back to you, and the more successful you'll be and get better at it by having the reps. What I love about golf, and you take from Rory McIlroy, who can 3-putt to lose, one of the biggest golf matches of his life, is no matter at what stage you are, that you're going to learn lessons, and you will continue to blow it. And it's the people that figure out better, so the next time they're 2 strokes up, they don't go for it, or they don't lose focus and miss whatever it is that you do. But golf is so great because you can, on one hole, literally look like you are Rory McIlroy, and the next look like you're Happy Gilmore. And that's the way life is. And you just have to keep on learning and enjoying it and having fun. I will tell you, the greatest compliment I got was from my daughter. And it hurt my feelings, actually, but because she said, "I'm so proud of you because this wasn't what you wanted." And I just love the way that you continued to stay engaged and positive and high energy. And the meet and greet was exceptional. And she was like, never once did I see, the disappointment. And I knew you were in your face, and you handled yourself and never went to blame, shame, and justification. You took for the team and for all the guests accountability and gratitude. And I learned a big lesson, Dad, because I'm not sure a lot of people would have done that.
I'd love for you to take this note and maybe it shows up on August 1st at our VIP dinner in Vegas as a teaching. You teach that a lot of people have a need to be right, a need to be offended. We have a new one today. A lot of people have a need to be insecure.
Cool. Yeah.
And then we look for that validation, right? So because I have a need to be insecure, then I'm going to look out into the world and find all of the clues and cues that trigger my own insecurity, because I live there. Like, I'm like, wow, I'm looking, like you said, for validation. And now let's look at business, as I love that you segued into that, because a lot of us have a need. You know what I hear a lot? Oh, I hate sales. You know how many people have a need to hate sales? So what we do is we engage in kind of sophomoric sales conversations, because I'm looking for you to reject me, to validate that I hate sales. Some other people hate marketing. Oh, I hate social media. Right. You have a need. And so that's a great lesson that you shared today is that a lot of us need to take stock and pause and look at ourselves and say, hey, look, a lot of what I'm doing is I'm just validating this story that I have created for myself. And it's interesting because in one side, in the duality of the situation, one side, it kind of makes me feel bad, but on the other side, it validates my story, which makes me feel good, because then I could say, like, oh, that's why my business isn't where it is, because I hate sales, or because I hate social media, or because people are so mean, or whatever it is. I think that's a great teaching for you to help us to uncover whatever that thing is and realize, I always say that the world is a mirror. And I say mirror, mirror, that the world is exact reflection of you. And that's exactly why, even over the course of the weekend, you have a presidential candidate drop out. Someone's like, wow, that's great. And someone's like, oh, that's terrible. It's the same thing, but it's a reflection of each individual, how we perceive it. And I think that's really interesting, this idea of a need to be insecure. And I think that that's something that all of us have to some degree or another, right? A need to be insecure. And I mean, that's a tremendous lesson. Love to hear it on August 1st. And speaking of that, let's tell people what we've got coming up here in about a week or so.
Yeah, I'm super excited. If you are anywhere in any place to come visit us in Las Vegas, Sean and I are going to do a VIP experiential dinner. We're going to have a lot of people from our new studio and other places come and share, but it's an over the top dinner. Come and see us. We're going to do a meetup. We're going to have speakers. And most importantly, it's really about the three things I just said. It's an overtop experience. It is unbelievable business development. You will get whoever you are, post-production content, and those three things are always provided. So just reach out to us. Our tags are up there. My email is david@dmeltzer.com, Sean@bookyourselfsolid.com. But we'll answer anything. And you have Lacey and Sean, myself, I think several other bigger time people always show up, whether it be Flex Lewis and Forrest Griffin. I know Greg Lutzka's coming in, the two-time gold medalist in the X Games. We get Bucky and Leah, Bucky O'Neill, Leah Notariani. There's so many people that are coming to feed in to our community. It's one of the best surprises of my life. The first one started a year ago, by the way, Sean, with Gary V at VCon. And you and I co-hosted the very first VIP dinner. I've averaged 2 a week since then. So imagine how many of these that we have. And it does soothe my ego because they all sell out. They're very, I think we've had one disappointing one, and that's because Sean and I were in the Redneck Riviera having too good of a time. And I let the sales off to Jakey Bakey as he was quietly quitting me. And but I will tell you, as disappointing the turnout to our Redneck Riviera VIP dinner, it was still one of my favorite because the people that showed and the intimacy that we had, sometimes the rooms, there's so much business development and it's so loud. But this one, it was impossible not to show up to, meaning everybody had to participate. Everyone had to participate. And so please come. You will not. That's why I guarantee the VIP dinners, by the way, because I am sure it is a profit center for you and it will extremely be higher in value than anything that we ask for. So please join us. It's amazing.
In addition to the guests who are attending, just so you know, this is definitely going to oversell because we were just in Nashville and we sold a bunch of tickets last weekend in Nashville. So just listening to you list some of the people off the top of your head, we throw in anybody who's watching. The room will be standing room only. It will be oversold, and we'll sit and savor that feeling of what it feels like to oversell that room because we just scale up the rooms and continue to oversell. Listen, if you'd like to be a part of that, reach out to us, David@dmeltzer.com, Sean@bookyourselfsolid.com. We'll get you the information. We're also going to be capturing content for our podcasts. So we'll be out there with various guests, tons of networking, content capture, all kinds of opportunities for you.
Yeah, I
And
forgot.
next week,
I forgot, Sean. Like
yeah,
we have this new studio, and we're going to be out there, and so we are doing a lot of interviews and content. And I called it a meetup with Sean and I, but it's a lot more than that. Like this is a pretty big deal opening up there in Palazzo's new card room, their poker room, and we have our own little event center in the back and our own studio being built out. So this is the very first time that anyone's done content like this in Las Vegas. I have the Sirius XM studio. This is completely different. This is kind of that SoFi look. When you want to get interviewed with Sean and I and be on our shows, come and reach out because that has great value as well.
yeah, the largest poker room on the strip. The grand opening is that day, August 1st, at the Palazzo. And yes, our studio will be tucked away right there, overlooking the largest poker room on the strip. It's this
Be on the
absolutely amazing
podcast. It's
experience.
the
Yes,
podcast. It is the
the
podcast.
podcast. If you want to be on the podcast, you want to join us for VIP dinner, make sure you hit us up. It will be a tremendous, tremendous experience. And we're looking forward to seeing you in person. And I got to tell you, too, lastly, it's one thing to see David and you're in this, dark theater and there's all the people. And it's another thing to go to an event like this where you can actually speak to him, spend some time with him, get to know him as a person, not just all of the teachings that we so dearly love. And let me tell you one more thing, Dave, the Redneck Riviera VIP dinner, that day, I sat down in my seat and the guy next to me literally turned to me and was like, "Oh, wow, I can't believe I get to sit with Sean and Lacey." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, I go to a lot of these dinners, all of these dinners. And I have obviously seen you at a lot of these, but I've never had the chance to sit and eat dinner with you." And I was like, wow, that's something that's super cool. That's one thing that the VIP dinners provide. That was our boy, Mike Hayashi, by the way. The VIP dinners provide us an opportunity to sit with someone that we maybe see on stages or social media and get to know them as a person and connect. When Dave says business development, it's not just transactional, it has to be relationship based. And just cold DMing somebody, transactional. Showing up, being in the right room, sitting next to them, admiring the temperature of their steak at the Capitol Grill. Well, that's how we develop a true relationship. Dave, thanks for spending the time with us. I am super proud of all of your accomplishments, especially over the weekend. And I can't wait to see you on August 1st in Las Vegas.
You got to pay for proximity in life, and that's why. And I will tell you, I'm blessed to be so proximate to you and Lacey. Send my love. I appreciate you so much in your friendship and support, justifying and soothing the insecurities that I still have, and I'm sure other people have as well. We love you, Sean. And thank you, James, for producing the show. Reach out to us, David at dmeltzer.com, Sean at bookyourselfsolid.com. Until next week, my friend, I appreciate it.
We'll see you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to